Welcome everyone. My name is Crystal Wiley. I am the co-founder and chief growth officer of Global Life. And today I have the privilege of interviewing the incomparable, the legendary Abiola Wabara. Um, Abby is the founder of Global Life. She is a retired professional basketball player and a national champion with Baylor Bears. So welcome, Abby. Normally, this is you on the other side of this thing.
I know. We flipped the script today. Hey,
I
Chris,
know, I
thank you for
know.
having me.
Absolutely. Welcome home. So Abby, tell us, how does a young Nigerian girl born and raised in Italy cross paths with basketball?
Honestly, it was very random because I had no clue what basketball was.
Mhm.
In my hometown, we had Parma was like one of the top basketball teams back in the 90s and 80s. And we played like Cynthia Cooper, Yolanda Griffin, like all of them went through Parma, right? But I had no clue of it. And actually, I was walking one of my friends because she was trying to register for fencing, and the basketball office was next door. And the owner, one of the managers, saw me and it was like, come here. And it was like, have you ever played basketball? I was like, no clue what basketball is. And I was like, well, we think you should. And then they sent one of the coaches to was it middle school? Yeah, middle school, 'cause I was 13, to my middle school to teach like a PE class. And that's kind of how I got introduced to basketball. Like the coach came to the school
Wow.
and then they were like, yeah, okay, come on, let's get you into basketball. And yeah, that's kind of how I found out what basketball was and how to get into it and started.
Did you love the sport right away?
I did, because I tried gymnastics when I was a kid. I was too tall. I mean, I was decent, but I was not gonna go very far. I tried volleyball, it was boring to me. And then basketball, I was like, oh, I like it because I like the physicality of it. You know, I wasn't good at it, but I was athletic, so I could bypass what I lacked in skills because I started late. I was like 12 and a half, 13. So by the time I figure out how to dribble and the steps and everything, at least I can always get the rebounds. I can do the dirty stuff that I didn't need to know the skill for.
At what point did you recognize that this was more than just a game? It was a vehicle that could actually take you places.
That was towards the end of high school when I started actually playing with the first division team. So I was like the kid that practiced with the first division team. And I think the year before, that's when I was playing on the same, well, playing. I was on the bench with the first team, and that was the year that Cynthia Cooper was there. And she definitely took me under her wing. Like she was like, "What I do, you do. When I run, you run." So I was just like, I always want. I mean, it was tough because she could go, and I was like, "Dude, I can't keep up with you." But I'm like, "You 13, you definitely gonna keep up with me." And then a few years later, Rusha Brown was there, and so in my mind, I was like, "You know what? I want to do what they do." Because that was also my first experience being around all the Black women other than my mom, because I grew up in Italy. So
Mhm.
it wasn't like I had options. And those were people that I looked up to, and I wanted to do what they did. I wanted to be seen like they were seen on the basketball court. So I started asking them, like, so how do I do this again? And that's how they told me, like, you should go to college, da 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 da. And so that's when, once I started playing with those players, um, I was inspired by where they were in their life in their 20s because I wanted to be what they were.
Yeah. So, out of all the places that basketball could take you, how did it take you from Parma to Waco, Texas?
So my uncle lives in Houston
Okay.
and his ex-wife went to Baylor and she had to go to Baylor for something. So I was like, okay, I had went to U of H to talk to the coach. It was not there. It was out recruiting. And so I was like, okay, well, the next closest school that I've heard of is Baylor. So I went there, went to talk to Coach Moki and to tell her like, hey, I want to play college basketball. And she was like, yeah, okay, you and everybody else. Like, congratulations. Um, but we had conversations before with the assistant coaches, and everyone tells them that, oh, my kid is the best thing since sliced
Yeah.
bread, right? So again, taking with a grain of salt. But because of who I played in Italy, one of her LaTeX teammates was one of the professionals on my team, Janice Lawrence. I don't know her married name now, but her time was Janice Lawrence. And so Coach Moki called her up. He's like, hey, this kid said that she played with you. And do she? Like, do you know who this kid is? She's like, oh my gosh, yes, I know Abby. You like definitely worth giving her a shot, blah, blah, blah. So obviously after that, we had to go through the proper channels because the rules were a little bit different back then. But long story short, I showed up, I asked, and I got a yes.
Wow. Wow. So you're at Baylor. What year was it when you guys won the national championship?
2005.
What year was that for you in college?
My technically my junior year, but it was my redshirt sophomore year.
Okay. So you win it all. Like what
We
right.
did.
Not many people can say that. Um what was going through your mind at that time? Were you already thinking about the next level?
Kind of. So for me, it was a little hard because at the time you had to use your eligibility to be able to be drafted. And because I redshirted my freshman year, I still had a year of eligibility, so I wasn't eligible to be drafted, which sucked because I did not want to use my redshirt year. And Coach Wilkie really tried to convince me, like, stay one more year, like you are, projected to be first round, top 10. And I just did not want to stay an extra year in college. So I took the hard route for myself. And decided that I need to go pro. Because at the time I was also paying money back to Baylor. Like the NIL was not a thing. And as an international player, I had to pay back what they calculated that I made in Italy. Because over there we don't have schools teams. It was like semi-pro. So we made like $200 a year. I mean a month for me as a kid, right? And so the NCAA calculated it, so it was coming out of my scholarship. So I was paying money back. So I was already broke, the college student, and now I'm broke. And I'm like, Coach, I can't do this for another year. I need to go make some money. And so I graduated and bypassed the draft, which in hindsight, if I were to go back, I would want to be drafted. I think that would have been something that could have added to my list of accomplishments, but I was thinking in the moment. And I did get invited to training camp in LA. And I was there for the entire time of the training camp and then got cut at the very end, which is fine. I mean, um, and that's kind of how I knew I was ready to go start playing because I just couldn't do another year, um, giving money back.
Yeah. So outside of Coach Moki, you referenced speaking to her about it. Did you have anybody else to kind of depend on or help you make that choice as a college
No,
player?
no, I wish I did because I feel like the right person would have convinced me to stay another year and get a master, for example, and then go and get drafted. But no, it was all Abby talking to Abby and figuring out what we're gonna do. Uh, yeah, because if I think about it now, right, someone that knew where I was, where I was coming from, they're like, hey, that will make it easier for you to get your green card, forget your like citizenship instead of going through like hoops that I had to do later. But yeah, no, I didn't have anyone to talk to about those things.
So how was that transition for you? You do actually go pro. Where do you end up first?
Yeah, so I started playing in Israel my first year after college. I ended up in Israel. Actually, halfway through the season, I ended up leaving to go to Hungary because the team was not paying. They didn't have any money. So halfway through the season, I ended up in Hungary for the other half, which I hated, absolutely hated it. But the following year, I come back to Israel to a different team, and then I stayed there for 2 seasons and a half, it was one of my favorite places. I would say like top two for sure.
And how does that work? You're in a place. Had you ever been to Israel before going there to play?
No.
So you're in a place and you show up. Are you practicing? Are you having games and then one day you just realize we're not getting paid?
Yeah. I mean, after the second paycheck that didn't show up, like, bro, like, where's the money? Right. So the agent would like, we have an agent that will like, we'll talk to them like, hey, what do we do? Because we were here working, but we're not getting paid. It was like, say something hurt and skip practice. So me and my team, like, we had like beds that were not like the best quality of beds. Well, my back hurt because the bed sucks. So I can't practice today. I can't play today. And then eventually it was like, well, if you don't pay me, I don't work for free. So eventually ended up leaving to go to another team that was gonna pay.
Got you. So things were much better in Hungary.
From a contractual perspective, yeah, but I was not as happy as I was in Israel.
Mm.
No one spoke English, coach included. I had one teammate that spoke English that helped and translated till this day. Actually, we're still cool like on social media today. Shout out to Virag for helping me out. um, but yeah, it was difficult. Like no one spoke English. It was so cold, like snow, like up to here. It was just not it.
Gotcha. So, how long were you playing professionally in total?
I played 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
And within that 10 years, how many teams did you
Ooh,
play?
that's a great question. Let's see. I had Apoel in Israel, Ramat Hasharon, Ranana, Ramle. So 4 teams in Israel, 1 team in Hungary, Taranto, Milano, Ragusa, and Cagliari. 4 teams in Italy. So what was that 10? And then 1 team in Spain, 11, and 1 team in England, 12. So 10 years, 12 teams.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I never calculated that. That's funny.
That is a lot of transition. A lot of transition. Um, so out of all of those teams, which one would you say was the most fulfilling for you in terms of kind of having all the pieces kind of come together for you?
I would say it was 2 of them. One was Ranana in Israel. I think it was my best season, the best teammates, that camaraderie, and just like, and yeah, the best teammates. I think I was playing with Tanisha Wright, Misty Bass at the time, but like, yeah, like best teammates to play with. And then Italy and Milan was the other team that I really enjoyed. We had again best teammates, best camaraderie, best basketball for me individually. Um, Good coaches, good management, like everyone cared about you as a human being. So those 2 teams would be my top. And yeah, and both teams have coaches that I really enjoy playing for.
Mm. So 10 years, how did you know you were getting close to the end?
Oh, my knee let me know. It was
Mm,
my body. Like if it was up to me, I would have played a lot longer, a couple of more years. But I definitely my knee was degrading at the pace that I could not keep up with. And so I knew I had to start making moves that would plan my future and not just basketball related. So I started picking teams like when I ended a career, I ended up in England, and not because of getting paid or anything. Like actually, I wasn't getting paid, but the league had a relationship with universities. So I reached out to the coach and told them, "Hey, if you can pay for my master's, I'll pay for you because I know you can't afford to pay me what I'm supposed to get paid." And so it was like, "Yeah, your master's is way cheaper than you, so we can do that." And so I went to play in England to get my master's because I knew that that was probably it. And
mm,
if I need to find a job, I needed something other than I can dribble the ball on my
yeah.
resume. So the master's was what I was hoping to use as a leverage.
And did that work for you? Did that help the
Kind of,
transition?
kind of. So actually, while I was taking my master, when I was getting my master's, I actually applied to law school as a plan B. And I did get accepted at Thurgood Marshall, which I know is your alma mater.
Yes.
So I got accepted there, which I wasn't expecting because I did not study for the LSAT. I took a test, like a book, like the
Yeah.
test. I
The
tried
prep
it for
the
a month.
prep
Yeah,
study
I
courses.
did
Yeah.
it for a month. And then I went and took it just to kind of see what that looked like, just because I did it in England. So I was like, I could do it back when I go to the US. And I got enough of a score to be, I was like, oh, well, I guess I'll try. So they got accepted. And then I deferred for a year because I wanted to give myself a fair chance to actually get a job. Um, but it was weird because once I started applying to stuff, I couldn't discern between jobs that were actual jobs and stuff that was almost like scammy. So I ended up on a few interviews that were just like door-to-door sales jobs that they were presented as a job. I was like, dude, why am I here? Like you guys have me, and literally during the interview, it was like, bring a comfortable shoe. I was like, why? They had me walking around a neighborhood with a guy that was selling like fiber, AT&T. I was like, yeah, no, you would never catch me.
What?
Like, there's no way. And
Where did you
so
find these jobs? Like, were these reputable
online,
sites?
yes, like Indeed, Glassdoor, but the way they were presented, they did
Mm,
not make it sound like it was a sales job. It sounded like it was a regular corporate
wow.
sales role, not a door to door. And I learned how to discern
Filtered.
the ones that are
Yeah.
actual sales jobs in office versus you have me knocking on people's doors in Texas. People got guns around here. Like I
Yeah.
know.
Absolutely.
And then there were like, if it rains, like you still have to be out there, like sunshine or rain. It's like, yeah, okay, well, that won't be me, but y'all can enjoy.
Wow.
So
So you kind of start touching on some of it, but what would you say was like the biggest challenge you faced during the transition out of professional sports?
it was trying to figure out what else I was good at. Like I know I speak languages. I know, I have a degree, but I don't necessarily know how to put it, implement it into what could be a regular job because I never had one. I mean, I babysat, I had like little office jobs in college while, just trying to make a little extra money because, like I said, I was getting money back.
Yeah.
But I never had a full-on adult job other than personal training. And again, that's a skill that I didn't need to know how to work out. So that was nothing new outside of the realm of sports. So figuring out how I could use whatever skills I had, I didn't know what the skills I had, how they translated to a job that was more on the corporate side of things. And so that was the hard part, just trying to figure out, okay, but why would somebody hire me over somebody else that went to school for that?
Yeah, absolutely. Um, did you find any resources to help you sort of navigate that any or figure out how
So
skills were transferable?
yes, I did. So at the time, one of my best friends, Shamika, she was starting her own like venture, and she was working with this guy based out of Houston. It was like a career counselor, career coach. So she introduced me to him, and I did start working with him. And I will say it was not cheap at all. But at the time, I still had, basketball money saved up. So, that was the year when I was using my savings to live off of and trying to figure out my next step. So I had enough saved up to live off for a year without having a job. Um, and so I worked with him. I went and had like a long meeting, like almost like a full day where he was just asking me questions. We were, drawing on the dry erase wall, like this is what you'd like to do, these are your skills. So he kind of told me that these are the areas that I think you will be successful.
Mm,
Um, and so we used that. He helped me revamp my LinkedIn, my resume, figure out how to do like cold calls or cold emails to people on LinkedIn that had positions that I was interested in.
hmm
Just ask them, hey, like I'm searching. You look like you do something I would like to learn more about. Can I get some time just to learn how to, like, not necessarily asking for a job, but asking for like, how do I get where you are? And sometimes people will reply, sometimes they didn't, but for the most part, I was able to get some insights there. But if I'm being honest, all of that did not get me a job.
mm. So, I mean, this sounds like a lot. How did you manage the emotional part of this transition from going from kind of being up here, right, in a career,
Mhm.
being a professional to feel like you're starting at ground zero and don't understand anything that you have that will prompt you to be successful in the next thing. So what was that part like for you?
It was horrible. I did not manage it well. Well, I managed it well in the sense that you're not going to know I'm going through something, but it was not probably the healthiest way to go about it. But I'm pretty sure I get to a point where depression started to kick in just because it's like, why am I like, how did I get here? Like, what is happening? Like, I don't know what's going on. I don't have anyone to rely on. I no longer have a team. It's actually literally just me trying to like
Yeah.
make it through the day. Um, Still have family that's like sometimes like, hey, can I get this? Can I get that? No, you can't because I no longer make money. Like you literally cannot
Yeah.
get nothing from me right now. Um, so I think between that and other, personal stuff, I ended up starting going to therapy to talk to someone. And that was my first experience with like coming to terms about getting help for
Mm.
something other than my knee hurt or like physical therapy. It was like now we have to work with it with the mind.
Yeah.
So I had to come to terms with, yeah, you need help because things is getting little sad over here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, did you feel like and did you feel like you had enough support um to get you through that transition? Obviously, you found a career counselor, so you kind of depended on a friend. who's another athlete who hooked you up with a career counselor to take care of that part. You yourself sought out therapy to assist with that. Beyond that, did you feel like in general you there was a support system for you to help you with that transition?
With the specific to the transition, I would say no, but support system as far as I'm here if you need me, like I would say yes, right? Like Shamika, like that was my sister. That was like my homie. Like if I was driving around Uber, because that's what I did at one point until I was trying to figure out, I would go park my car at her house and just be over there for half of the day just because I was like, I needed to be around a teammate, a friend that understood where I was coming from. Uh, that knew that, driving Uber wasn't necessarily my goal in life, was I hate driving. Everyone that knows me knows I hate driving and I hate small talk. And that was literally what Uber was, driving and
Mm.
so I will be able to go and decompress over her house and just talk to her and things like that. So for that sense of support from an emotional perspective with someone that knew me, I would say yes. But from a like find this job and all those things, no. Um, yeah.
How long did it take you to really get your footing after leaving sports to transitioning into your next career?
It took about a year.
A year.
Yeah. It took about a year. And I also honestly feel like I got lucky because it probably could have taken a lot longer. But I just so happened that while driving Uber, I was driving with my resume in the car. And this lady saw that I had a Baylor decal on my car. And she
Mhm.
was like, "Oh, did you go to Baylor?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Oh, me too. And so did my husband, and so did all my kids." I was like, "Oh, awesome." And so she started asking me questions. So obviously basketball came up. And she was like, "Okay, so why are you driving Uber again?"
Mm.
And I was like, "Well, I just got back from overseas. I just got back, I got my master's. I have no clue what I'm supposed to be doing. Here's my resume." And so she looks it over. She was like, "You know what? My husband is a managing director at a consulting company. They
Wow.
love people with your background, like different background. And obviously it looks like you have your education, you speak in multiple languages. Give me his business card. I send him your resume and I'll let him know that I met you and I'll give him like I vouch for your character off of a 45-minute ride." So I'll go home, email this man, never heard of the company. So I had to Google it because I'm like, okay, what is this again? And the next day after I emailed him, I received a recruiter email saying we would like for you to start your interview process.
Wow.
So 3 rounds later, I started working at Accenture 8 years ago.
Wow.
Right.
I mean, there's another message in that for me too, because I think a lot of times we fight um, things, right? Because it's not something we want to do. So, for example, you didn't want to be driving Uber. You didn't want to be communicating with the people in the Uber, but you kind of went with the universe, right? And you were in the car, and there you go. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because that day I really didn't want to drive. Like I dragged myself out of the bed because I was staying at my uncle's house in Missouri City. So I was coming to Houston, which was ready to drive. And then she was going to the airport, which was a launch. I was like, oh my God. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm glad I had this ride. I'm glad I did it.
Wow, wow. What advice would you give to current athletes who are starting to think about life after sports or just facing the reality that, they're approaching that time?
My biggest advice would be two things. One, start thinking about what your passions are. If basketball didn't exist, what would you be doing? Like, what are you interested in? Um, what do you do when you don't practice? That is something that gives you joy, but it's also something that could be productive and make money or, prepare you for a job. That would be one thing. And the second thing, take advantage of your network while you have it. Because a lot of the people that you have around, they care about you as an athlete because you're an athlete. But if you build that, relationship from a human perspective as well, they'll remember you regardless of you playing with them or not, or for them or not, or on their team. And they might be the people that can open the door for you, give you the right advice or introduce you to somebody that knows somebody. Because at the end of the day, what I did learn is it's not necessarily what you do or what you know, it's who you know and who likes you enough to introduce you to someone they know. It's just sad to say, but it's the reality, really.
Yeah. What resources or support do you wish had been available to you during that transition?
Oof, a lot of them. So one is financial education because if I had the raw IRA that I have now when I was hooping, I wouldn't need a job because I would have been like just invest all my money. I would have made what I need to retire early and just work on my ventures, be the artist that I wanted to be without being a starving artist. And so definitely financial education, I would have, if I wish, yeah, I wish I knew about that because that's 10 years of accrued investments that I missed out on. Health insurance stuff. Because when we playing, hey coach, my leg hurt. All right, doc, get her and fix her up. I didn't know how to look up network out of network, like what is it called? I mean, you see, I still barely know this
Yeah. In
now.
network versus out of network
Like stuff
physicians.
like that, like
Yeah.
when I hit my max and stuff like that. I was like, I didn't know any of that, right? And then my parents are not American, so it's not like I can go, hey mom, how do I do this? She don't know. She's in the
Yeah.
gym dealing with how to do stuff over there, so things like that. What else? How to like build my resume in a way that translated to corporate, if that's what you're going for, or whatever direction like industry you're trying to go towards, how to translate your basketball skills or your athletic skills towards that, right? Like leadership. Oh, were you a captain? You were a leader. Didn't know that counted 1 to 1. Um, and just in general, as an athlete, we are very resilient because ain't no one that I know of will wake up at 5 o'clock to go work out and then go to class and then go work out again and go back to class and do your homework, then, repeat. So like the resilience and the discipline, all those things translate somehow, which I just didn't know how. So wish I had resources to help me on that a little sooner. I think would have been great.
Yeah. What's one piece of advice you would give to athletes who are struggling with the fear of uh, the unknown after retirement?
I will say embrace it. One thing that I really had to come to terms with was humble myself to know that in my next stage, I'm not going to be the best right away. Um, be able to ask questions, like find someone that is in the position that you want to be in the future and ask them questions, like make them your mentor, make him your best friend at work or whatever the situation is. Just find someone that you look up to as far as I would really want to be in your position and start asking, hey, how did you get there? How long did it take you? What did you do? What kind of skills do I need to add to my bag? Things like that. But the biggest advice, it would be ready to feel dumb for a little bit. And
Yeah.
once you can get past that uncomfortable feeling, I think things start looking up.
One of the misconceptions I think for athletes after that is like process your whole life, mostly since you've been playing sports, you've had a coach,
Yeah.
and you that person has assisted you, that person's guided you, that person's helped you kind of navigate, right? And point out the things that you need to work on, where you're doing great and where you need to fix it, tighten up, right? You can do the same thing after sports, right? It may not have the title coach, right? That person may not, and then there are life coaches.
Yeah.
But you can have the same sort of relationship beyond sports with someone
Yeah.
to help you navigate the new waters, so to speak. Um,
I mean, to that point though, what I would say is like you said, that there are life coaches, but I think this coach should be someone that you have a day-to-day relationship with, not someone that you're paying for that specifically, but
right.
also someone that you see every day at work or wherever you are, you can build that coaching relationship with.
Yeah, I agree. What accomplishments outside of sports are you most proud of?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Accomplishments as part of sports. I mean, definitely, I would say. I really don't know. Accomplishments out of sports I'm very proud of. I mean, like as an artist, like doing my artwork, that's been something that's carried me throughout my sports career. And I'm proud of the fact that I was able to have an art show in Italy. I was able to be published in Spain because of my art. And I won an award here in Houston. So I would say that would be one. Another one would be creating global life actually would be a one that I would say because going through that process, I could just be, okay, well, I made it out. I'm good. You know, good luck to everyone else.
Yeah.
I really wanted to find a way to help other athletes now go through the process the hardest way possible and try to make it, you know, as seamless and as supported as possible. So while it's still a work in progress, it's not there yet. I'm proud of the fact that I stuck to it because it took me some years to find the right formula of what I really needed to do to help. And I think this past couple of years is when I found the right, yeah, the right model for it. And I'm starting to see some progress and actually real steam behind it and support and people like yourself that believe in the vision enough to want to join me. So I'm definitely proud of that. Yeah.
I was waiting on you to say that. Like, that's why we're here. That's how we
Right.
got here, right?
Right.
Global life. Um, what, if anything, would you just like to add? Um, if I was an athlete, we're in March Madness, so a season is getting ready to end. Um, and some folks may not get the offer for the next level, right?
Mm.
And I'm sitting in front of you here as that athlete. And I lost the first round. Um, what would you say to me um, in terms of kind of what I should be focused on right now?
Yeah. I would definitely say take some time to cherish what you've done, right? Because it's not that that part of you is gone forever. It's still part of you. But you have to find a time where you're ready to put that to the side and start looking forward. And it's almost like a mourning process, right? Like I feel like you should mourn the fact that you're hanging up the shoes, but at the same time, you should be proud of that and use it to your advantage, right? While it's still fresh, like, hey, this is I accomplished this. This was really great. Now, how can I use this to move on to the next step? Start thinking about, like I mentioned earlier, what are you passionate about, right? A lot of the kids today, they have so many new avenues to be able to explore their ventures outside of sports, right? So on social media, you have technology, there's a lot of different things. And entrepreneur mind, I feel like there's a lot more entrepreneur mindset nowadays. So think about like the cool ideas that you came up with while you were playing, or like things that you wish were better. Like trying, I think the best way to find a solution to or find an expert is trying to solve a problem that affected you as well. So I would say, you know, enjoy what you've done, right? Cherish it, be proud of yourself. But now let's think about what you've done. What else can you do that gives you the same feeling, that brings you the same joy? Like what other activity or venture do you think? And then just start planning towards it. Like you're gonna go backwards, like, oh, I think I want to be I don't know, a EMT and help people make it from home to the hospital safely, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Let's go see what steps are needed to do that and work forward, right? And also, obviously, you went to school. So, what was your major? Did you major in that for a reason or just because? Like, those would be the type of questions that I would ask and just trying to see what the path forward looks like.
And obviously, go sign up on Global Life, right?
Well, yeah, because that's you know, if you're coming to me for that conversation, that means you're part of our family, right?
Absolutely.
Our network, and those will
Absolutely.
be the steps that we will help you with.
My last question for you, I mean, we this conversation could go on forever, but we're not. But my last question for you, which I think was a real fear for me, because of the love that I had for basketball. Did you think you could ever be fulfilled outside of basketball in the way that you were while playing?
I did not. And that was part of the depression because it's like, I'm just about to be walking around life, just life in it, just for sake of life in it, but not
Yeah.
happy and excited about it. So it took a while to find things to make myself excited, but I also found a way to challenge myself, right? So like with my job in technology, what I did was I wouldn't say it's not a passion, obviously, it's a job, right? But I enjoyed it a lot when I first started because it was a lot of new things I had to learn, and I thrive in learning and finding new things I can be good at. But also, what I was doing was because of me being older, because I didn't come straight from college, I challenged myself. So I like to live life in quarters, right? So my first quarter was Italy. The second one was me hooping. So now this is the third quarter, and it's the new career, right? And I was like, okay, so what can I do to catch up to my age mates? Because I'm an analyst, people my age is a manager.
Mm,
I went, like I said earlier, I went and find me a few people that, hey, okay, so how do I accelerate my career? I want to be on the fast track. And I tell somebody that I was like, I don't know nothing about consulting, but I want to be on the fast track. What do we do? And I found people that like one of like very senior managing director took the time to write me on a piece of paper like a roadmap, what a 10
mm,
like and work backward. And it was like this is what
wow.
you do. And so my goal was to make manager in 5, and I did. Um, so I went through every single level, like analyst, senior analyst, consultant, and manager. So pretty much got promoted every year, my first 5 years. But it was a way to bring the athletic mindset into the corporate mindset for me. So obviously I wasn't competing with anyone else, but in my mind, I made a whole game. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
you're a manager? How long you been here? All right, bet I'm about to beat you. Like that's all I was thinking about in my mind, right? And that was the only way I could find that same feeling in a sense, because otherwise, yeah, it was really hard to find like the same purpose because my purpose was to win. What am I winning now? Like,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. I think that and what that does, what that requires is just a paradigm shift, just the way you think about things, right? And sometimes I think people in that position of transitioning from your life, your love, you know what I mean? The thing you felt like you were best at to the unknown is the way we approach and think about things.
Yep.
So I think that's a huge lesson in processing that if you just alter the way you're looking at it and approaching it, you know, you will and can feel a lot different about what's next.
Mhm.
And as soon as you start embracing that and opening yourself up to the challenges, I think um, doors also will open and
Yeah.
things will start to come. Um, Great conversation, Abby. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Those are
Appreciate
awesome
that.
questions.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Anything else?
No, I guess for the people that's watching, even though it's not my job to say that today, but I'll do it anyway. Thank you for watching. Make sure you follow us on Global Life on social media. We have an Instagram. We put the articles on LinkedIn for people that prefer reading, and the full interview will be on YouTube. On IG, we'll keep it short. Just give you a snippet of this conversation. Follow us there. Sign up on the website. We are building a roster. We need you on there so that you can start getting advantage of some of the resources already there, and also be notified when the actual Global Lab app is live and running. So yeah, don't let us chase you for that. Just come out there and enjoy what we're building for you.
Come get in the lab with us. Absolutely. You will not regret it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Abby.
Thank you, Krista. Thank you, everyone.